The night before Anita starts chemo, she plans for a delicious last meal, since they don't know if she'll be able to stomach one tomorrow. Vernon balks at calling it that and insists on joining her in the infusion room. "No way you'll do this on your own." Anita learns her daughters will get their test results tomorrow and realizes she won't be able to be with them. She gets an idea and runs out for colorful, feathery supplies. Dani comes home to home-cooked pasta courtesy of Andre. The recipe, however, is courtesy of Joey's social media page. What kind of self-respecting walks-on-the-dark-side gambling mogul has an Insta profile? She's appreciative and impressed nonetheless, which leads to talk of her husband being a genie and rubbing his lamp, which she presumably does when they head to the bedroom. At home, Kat worries about purse production delays during award season, but Chelsea is more concerned with their family crisis. Chelsea explodes over the way Kat is handling things because she can't stand the thought of losing her. As they argue, Tomas lets himself in. Chelsea urges him to help her cousin find some sense and leaves. Tomas assures Kat he won't do that, but understands her family's concern. She breaks down in his arms, wishing they could let her pretend this doesn't exist. Elsewhere, Carlton gifts Nicole a stress ball when he drops by for a movie night. Martin and Smitty drink wine and discuss Tyrell, and Naomi confides in Ashley at Uptown. Vernon and Anita call to gather the family, but Kat opts for dinner with Tomas instead of picking up. When Dani, Andre, Martin, Smitty, Chelsea, Nicole, and Naomi arrive at the house, Anita reminds them how much they love New Orleans. Therefore, they decided to bring the spirit of the Big Easy to Fairmont Crest. Since second lines are about any celebration, not just the final one, they hand out parasols, handkerchiefs, and beads and dance around the living room. Before they parade their way to the kitchen for gumbo and king cake, Anita says that tomorrow things will get harder, but tonight they will celebrate what they have. "And I have more than most. I have all of you." As they eat in the living room, Naomi finds the baby in her cake. Crowning her, Anita declares she has to throw the Mardi Gras party next year. Naomi agrees as long as Anita is their queen again. Anita assures her she's not going anywhere anytime soon. Martin, Nicole, and Chelsea all reach out to Kat, urging her to come over. However, Kat turns her phone over when it starts blowing up while at Uptown with Tomas. Making a toast with a mocktail, Anita says she'll allow her family to dote on her, but encourages them to use some of that energy to care for each other. After she throws more beads and Vernon puts an end to his daughter's tales of taking off their tops for them, they gather for a group photo. Naomi puts the crown on Anita, and they all yell, "Big Easy!" Beyond the Gates preview for 2026 reveals that Anita Dupree was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. Anita and her husband Vernon Dupree are trying to gain some solid ground before she begins the fight for her life. Anita Dupree has gotten her diagnosis and shared it with her husband. Anita plans to tell the rest of the family as soon as she and Vernon have a minute to get used to this. Cancer in itself is worrisome, but triple-negative breast cancer is a devastating diagnosis. Anita's cancer is an extremely aggressive type of cancer and has a high risk of coming back. Is the show getting ready to get rid of the Dupree matriarch? The show would not be the same without Anita and her bright personality. This soap is not afraid to jerk the rug out from under its fans. Anita wants to live every day like it is her last. Is that what they are setting fans up for in the end? Anita is determined to live her best life for as long as she can. Anita doesn't know what is going to happen from here, but she is doing her best to get by. Anita will tell the rest of the family, and they will gather around her, continuing to offer support as well. Will Anita have enough support to get through this diagnosis? Are Anita's family at risk? Triple-negative breast cancer is hereditary, so Anita's daughters are at risk as well. Anita wouldn't wish this on anyone, and certainly her daughters. However, she will certainly encourage them to take precautions to ensure their own health and safety. Now, Anita needs to concentrate getting well herself. Spoilers say that Anita will survive, but that she will be worried about a recurrence. The writers seem to be playing this close to the vest and including all of the possibilities of what might happen. Anita can never actually be declared cancer-free because of the chance of it coming back. The best she can hope for is to get it into remission and try to keep it there. Could one of Anita's daughters get the disease and go through this with her? How would Anita handling fighting this disease while learning that her child is going through the same thing? Anita loves her family and wants to keep all of them in good health. Anita could not stand to learn that one of her children are going through the same thing she is. Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday, January 9th, reveal some bombshells on the horizon in the land of Fairmont Crest. Anita Dupree will start her chemotherapy while the genetic marker test results are in. Plus, Vernon Dupree gets bad news. Find out more about Friday's BTG episode below. Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday, January 9th suggest that Anita will begin her chemo-cancer treatments. Off the cusp of her family gathering, will the Dupree matriarch have the strength to face the biggest life challenge she's faced to date? This is Anita we are talking about, so she'll have the courage to battle cancer, no doubt. On the other side of town, Dani Dupree and Nicole Dupree will get the results of their genetic testing. Will either sister test positive for the markers? All arrows are pointing to the fact that Nicole may, as her daughter, Catherine "Cat" Richardson, is so against getting tested herself and so freaked out about this situation. Meanwhile, Jacob Hawthorne and Andre Richardson will worry about their wives, Naomi Hawthorne and Dani. Can they come up with some sort of plan to help these ladies get through their current drama? Finally, Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday state that Vernon will get some bad news, and it'll come from Martin Richardson. What will this bad news be about? Could Martin tell Vernon that Nicole tested positive for the genetic marker? Or is this about Tyrell Richardson not wanting to be a part of this year's cotillion? Tyrell is being highly influenced by Jessica about the big affair. And while the young lady's opinions are valid on some level, the tradition is beloved in the Dupree family. Vernon would be disappointed if Tyrell didn't make it, so it'll be interesting to see what this is about. What storyline are you most looking forward to during Friday's show? Comment below. Watch the CBS Soap Daily for all the Fairmont Crest drama and visit CTS regularly for the hottest Beyond the Gates news, updates, and spoilers. Jordi Villasuso is headed back to daytime by joining the cast of Beyond the Gates. Here's everything we know about his Fairmont Crest debut. A few weeks ago, news broke that Villasuso would be joining the cast of BTG. There wasn't news about who he would play or where he would fit in, until now. While speaking to TV Insider, Villasuso opened up about the role he secured on the new CBS soap. Debuting on January 13th, he will play Grayson Perez. Surprisingly, he is a lab tech working at the hospital. Stepping back into a role where he dons scrubs is something that Villasuso's fans can rally behind, as he played fan favorite Dr. Castillo on ABC's All My Children. Villasuso made it a point to mention his character had a good heart, before adding, "He's been raised by a single parent for some time, and now the roles have changed because he has to take care of his mother, and he goes to great lengths. I'll just leave it at that." His character will be in the orbit of Jen Jacobs Ashley, which makes sense because of his job is at the hospital. He did a chemistry read with her, and it went well, which may mean that the two will be romantically paired. Working with Jacob has been a highlight, as he mentioned another key point, saying, "She's just such a pro, works very hard, and I'll be honest, that hasn't always been the case with co-stars, and that just makes the dynamic a lot of fun, and makes coming to work great." Over the course of his 25 years in daytime, Villasuso has held various roles on different networks. Joining BTG will mark the 5th soap he's worked on in over 2 decades. In 2000, he landed on Guiding Light as Tony Santos. Villasuso then moved to AMC, followed by Days of Our Lives, and he ended his run as Ray Rosales on The Young and the Restless. With Grayson debuting shortly on BTG, viewers will learn more about the character. The actor teased the possibility of various directions for the lab tech and hinted there is more to be seen. Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday, January 9th tease a day full of emotional stakes in Fairmont Crest as Anita begins her medical treatment. Dani and Nicole finally receive their long-awaited test results. Jacob and Andre worry about their wives, and Martin delivers bad news to Vernon. Anita is taking the significant step of beginning her medical treatment. This is a pivotal moment after weeks of uncertainty, tests, decisions, and emotional weight for her family. Anita's journey has been one of bravery and vulnerability, and now she finally gets started on the actual treatment plan. Even as she faces the physical challenge ahead, the emotional journey is equally powerful. Her loved ones, from Dani to Nicole to Vernon, have hovered around her with support, concern, and the kind of love only crisis can expose. For Fairmont Crest, Anita's treatment isn't just medical. It's emotional ground that reshapes how the community supports one another. Dani and Nicole receive their test results. After so much uncertainty, and amid Anita's own ongoing health battle, this moment brings clarity and tension. The waiting has been the hardest part for both women, as well as the people who love them. The results themselves are a turning point for the characters, not just plot points. Whether the news brings relief, fear, or a mixture of both, this is a moment that will have immediate and long-term emotional consequences for them and for their families, who have been struggling with how best to support their partners. Jacob and Andre have been carrying their own strain as they navigate support for their family while managing their own fears. Their worry humanizes the storyline, showing how a health crisis touches not just the person diagnosed, but everyone around them. Watching them grapple with helplessness, hope, and the urge to protect their wives adds another layer of emotional complexity to the episode. Meanwhile, Vernon receives bad news of his own that complicates his emotional journey. For a character who has stood strong for others, this setback cuts deep. Vernon's reaction offers a glimpse of vulnerability and resilience as he faces uncertain terrain once again. Here's what went down Thursday, January 8th, 2026 on Beyond the Gates. When Carlton exposed Nicole to true horror, Ashley added a lesson to Naomi's Google University, and Kat battled everyone for her right not to be heard. On Beyond the Gates, Ashley met with Naomi at Uptown to give her best friend support regarding Anita's cancer and the possibility that she might have inherited the cancer-causing BRCA gene through Dani. Naomi had been doing some studying online about her grandmother's triple-negative breast cancer and worried that it could return even after the present tumor was removed. Ashley counseled Naomi to ask medical professionals for details instead of looking things up on Google, and reminded the lawyer that even if Naomi were to test positive for the gene, it wasn't a guarantee of cancer, just that the odds would be higher of getting it. For Naomi, amassing knowledge about the situation gave her power, and at Ashley's questioning, she reported that Jacob had been trying to pretend he wasn't worried. Naomi began to tell Ashley how wonderful Andre had been in supporting Dani, then caught herself. Ashley was all right with the topic and surmised that his in-laws' cancer ordeal had to be hard in its own way. Not only had Andre lost his parents, Ashley knew, but now there was even the slightest chance that he could lose Dani. The besties did their best to remind themselves that there was no need for panic in the now. Carlton arrived at Nicole's unannounced, bearing gifts. He had brought her a stress ball, which Nicole found to be thoughtful. She relayed that Anita's first round of chemo was scheduled for the following day, and that she and Dani were still waiting to find out if one or both of them had the BRCA mutation. Carlton noted that Nicole had seemed weepy. She showed him the photo album of Kat's cotillion that she had been paging through and explained how Tyrell had rejected the tradition because of his girlfriend. Looking at the coming out of her miracle baby had brought her comfort. Nicole added that each Dupree was finding their own way of coping with the sudden presence of cancer in their lives. Nicole remembered how Martin, before he had come out as gay, had served as escort for cotillion debutantes on 3 separate occasions. Carlton was certain that the experience had helped to prepare Martin for a life in politics. When Nicole remarked that none of them could have predicted cancer cropping up in their lives back then, Carlton understood that she was scared, but promised she didn't have to be scared alone. The surgeon wanted to watch a horror movie with Nicole. She relished the idea of having license to scream, so Carlton suggested that they hit a rage room on their next date. Dani was surprised when she came home to find Andre cooking, and that he had perused Joey's haute cuisine videos for guidance. Andre chuckled when Dani referred to him as her genie. After she asked him where he kept his lamp, he winked that it was in his pocket. It was Dani's understanding that she was supposed to rub it, which led to a bed romp for the newlyweds. Folding laundry with a container of Tide Pods in view, Smitty hoped that Martin would make things up with Tyrell. Martin didn't mind Tyrell being against debutante culture and got that the younger generation wasn't as likely to groove on getting dressed up in tuxes and ball gowns. But the congressman did take exception to Tyrell only coming into his stance because it was what Jessica thought. Smitty opined that Tyrell's reaction may be only somewhat about the cotillion. It was more likely that Tyrell had picked a fight as a reaction to Anita's cancer and the chance that his father could have been born with the BRCA gene. Over at Dani's guest house, Kat got mouthy with a supplier who hung up on her. Chelsea didn't think that Kat should have made her call in what was the middle of the night for the woman and barked that the real stuff of life was their grandmother fighting cancer and the uncertainty surrounding some or all of them carrying BRCA. Kat didn't want to hear it, insisting that Anita would want them to handle their business. Chelsea countered that the directive also meant taking care of their bodies, not just their company. The more Chelsea tried to persuade her cousin to get screened for the gene, the more Kat dug in her heels about not doing it. Chelsea wailed that there would be no Chelsea Cat if there was no Chelsea or no Kat, but Kat cited "my body, my choice" as her reason for handling things as she saw fit. While Chelsea was willing to relent if Kat would just agree to take the test sometime in the future, Kat was not willing to spend the next 30 years wondering if every ache was a warning of cancer. The cousins' exchange became even more heated as Chelsea held that if Kat didn't want to get tested for herself, she could at least do it to ease everyone else's worry. Tomas came in, with Kat snarking that Chelsea was in her momager mode, which hadn't worked out so well when she had butted into Madison's relationship with her mother. Chelsea wailed that Madison's aunt had died of cancer because she had refused treatment and nearly begged Tomas to talk some sense into Kat. Once Chelsea left, Kat was sure Tomas was going to also nag her about having the test. But Navarro was sure that Kat knew her own mind. Still, he recalled how his family had dealt with frequent hurricanes in Puerto Rico. His dad would board up the windows, then pretend nothing bad was happening, while his mom would freak out. As for young Tomas, he had wanted to go out and play in the storm, so he could attempt to stop it. Kat broke down, not wanting to board up metaphorical windows and wondering why she couldn't just pretend cancer didn't exist. At the Dupree mansion, Anita told Vernon she had asked Rowena to prepare a special meal, since it might be her last, in that there was no way of knowing how her body would tolerate food once the chemo started the next day. When Anita decided that it wasn't necessary for Vernon to sit next to her for hours while she was waylaid getting drugs pumped into her, Vernon amiably but firmly avowed that he wasn't going to let Anita endure the treatments on her own. Vernon received news. After his talk with the chief of staff about possibility expediting Nicole and Dani's BRCA test results, they would have the verdict the next day. Anita was bothered that she wouldn't be able to be there for her daughters, as she would be getting chemo at the same time, but Vernon reminded his wife that their girls were grown-ups. Anita suddenly got an idea and ran out to run a mysterious errand. A while later, Anita returned with bags full of colorful items, and Vernon wondered if she were going to keep him in the dark about what she had in mind. She admitted she'd been afraid he might talk her out of her brainstorm, but the patriarch was on board with whatever the matriarch wanted to do, and soon Duprees from inside and outside the gates were getting enigmatic phone calls from either Anita or Vernon, arousing everything from curiosity to worry. Nicole arrived first, followed by Dani and Andre, who noticed how festive Anita looked. Once Chelsea, Martin, and Smitty were in attendance, though Anita hoped that Kat would still make it. The elder Duprees informed everyone of the imminent test results and defined the chemo as the beginning of a comeback. Anita wanted her loved ones to feel something besides fear and expressed disappointment that she and Vernon wouldn't be able to make their planned trip to their beloved New Orleans for Mardi Gras later in the year. So, they had decided to celebrate Fat Tuesday right there in the house, and they passed out hats and parasols and beads to everyone. Anita stoically acknowledged that everything would get harder the next day. Therefore, they would use their evening before to celebrate all that they had. Vernon kicked on some lively Creole music, and everyone danced around the room in a kind of parade, with Anita leading everyone toward the kitchen. She stopped for a moment in the foyer as everyone made their way past her, wearing a solemn expression they didn't see. Meanwhile, Kat was with Tomas at Uptown, ignoring the slew of calls and texts she'd been receiving. She disagreed with Chelsea's implied claim that she was being selfish and asked Tomas if he would accept information about the future were it offered to him. Though Kat held that, even if she went ahead and got screened for Boursier, there wasn't anything she'd be able to do about it if it turned out she carried it. Tomas maintained that there was no telling what future technologies there might be that could offer help if needed. He also felt that Kat and Chelsea should make a point to be there for Anita. Kat preferred to be on her date with Tomas, referring to it as self-care. Martin, Nicole, and Chelsea all attempted to reach Kat yet again, to no avail. Anita continued the reveling, hoping that their impromptu Mardi Gras party was making up for the bleakness of New Year's. She made it a point to let everyone know she wasn't ignoring the gravity of the situation. In fact, she was pissed off that her daughters had to be tested for a gene she might have unwittingly handed down. Martin exhorted his grandmother to let her family take care of her, and Anita wanted everyone to lean on each other in the coming days, especially since she might not be able to offer her full support based on the predicted exhaustion of her treatments. Vernon had requested that Andre bring his camera and had his son-in-law set up his tripod to get a shot that included all of the Dupree partygoers. Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates on Friday, January 9th, 2026. It's time. In Friday's episode, Anita begins medical treatment. The port is in, and Anita begins her first round of chemotherapy. This UI is going to be a rugged time for Anita and the Dupree family, and the PSAs are a timely reminder to get things checked so they can be caught early. In Friday's episode, Dani&Nicole get their test results. Look to one sister to get the news that they carry the BRCA gene, and the other to breathe a huge sigh of relief, although it's short-lived, as that means that 2 children will now need to be tested as well. If it's Nicole, will the family apply pressure to her to get herself tested? In Friday's episode, Jacob and Andre worry about their wives. With the news regarding gene testing, the BRCA gene is going to reach out and touch someone. Will that mean Dani is the one with the positive result? In Friday's episode, Martin delivers bad news to Vernon. Martin may have to be the one that tells Vernon that Nicole got a positive result from the BRCA gene testing and that now he and Kat are at risk. Something really good needs to happen to lighten the mood and relieve some stress for this family. Make sure to check out The Scoop and the next week's sneak peek for a deeper look into what's to come this week and what you have to look forward to from your favorite characters and not-so-favorite characters in the DMV. First, look forward to a vibrant explosion of culture as Anita Dupree defies her diagnosis by transforming the mansion into a spectacular Mardi Gras bash. Focusing on family and resilience, she proves you cannot keep a Dupree woman down with grand costumes and New Orleans spirit. However, the festivities clash with a sobering reality. The second massive storyline delivers the life-changing genetic test results for Dani&Nicole. With Anita also officially starting medical treatment, spoilers warn that the news is dire. It is a gripping week of defiant celebration and drama in Fairmont Crest. Beyond the Gates Daily YAPP for Tuesday, January 8th. Welcome to the Beyond the Gates Daily. YAPP for a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. Anita took the notion of soon-to-be starting chemo, and she gathered the family. They had Mardi Gras, gumbo, dancing, and laughter. Well, almost all of them. Kat was notably absent. Martin, Chelsea, and Nicole all tried to reach out to her, but to no avail. Kat was on a date with Tomas, but really, she was just avoiding the issue of the BRCA gene testing. Earlier in the episode, she had an argument with her cousin Chelsea, and more, we see the brat in Kat. Not just lurking beneath the surface, but full-blown and self-centered. How long are we supposed to put up with this? How long can any of her family deal with it? Someone needs to put her in her place. To quote Tony Soprano, "You'd better wise up." Both she and her mom, Nicole, are the way they are because they are allowed to be. Like it's something to just grin and bear. Oh, it's just how they are. Well, it needs to stop. Tomas should run, not walk. And Ted and Nicole, as her two parents, should sit her down and educate her on what the cotillion preparation didn't do, teach her some basic manners, and vanquish her stank attitude. Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not. Seriously, do not! Forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Just as Kevin seemingly says goodbye to Port Charles on General Hospital, his portrayer John Lindstrom was added to the opening credits for his other daytime role on Beyond the Gates. After a year-long absence from GH, Lindstrom returned as Kevin in December, just in time to learn about his wife's trouble with Sidwell. While it seemed like Kevin would be Sidwell's next target, that theory may have been nipped in the bud now that Laura asked Kevin to leave Port Charles and take Ace with him. Both Kevin and Ace seem to be on Sidwell's radar, but according to Laura, during the January 7th episode of GH, Kevin and Ace have already left for Ireland, putting to bed any theories that Kevin would be Sidwell's victim or that he's really been Ryan Chamberlain all along. Now, just as Kevin leaves Port Charles again, eagle-eyed soap fans noticed that Lindstrom is now featured during the opening credits of BTG. Lindstrom has played the villainous Joey Armstrong since the soap's debut in February 2025, but only as a recurring character. One BTG viewer on X pointed out that Lindstrom replaces Ben Gavin, who was removed from the show's closing credits as of Season 2. Others reacted with excitement for Lindstrom's appearance on the opening credits. OMG, John Lindstrom is now in the opening credits. How awesome, wrote one viewer, while another noted, wondered when John Lindstrom would be a regular on Beyond the Gates, because it feels like he is on more than the regular actors. The iconic Jordi Villasuso is making his debut in Beyond the Gates as Grayson Perez. Grayson is a lab technician with a very warm heart. Moreover, it will be the actor's 5th soap role, and he will be paired in scenes with Jen Jacobs' character, Ashley Morgan. And they will be building a storyline based on their interactions. Keep scrolling for more details. Villasuso started playing Tony Santos on Guiding Light in 2000. Then he played Griffin Castillo on All My Children, Dario Hernandez on Days of Our Lives, and Ray Rosales on The Young and the Restless. Now he is finally stepping into his 5th soap role. Elsewhere, the Daytime Emmy winner says he is grateful to work at a time when jobs are limited. He says it's a privilege to work on a TV show, and having a 5th soap on air shows the viability of the genre. He recalled and said that 25 years ago, there were 10 soaps, and the current audience keeps actors employed. Furthermore, the timing of his new role has been positive for the actor and his family. The show films in Atlanta, and his family moved to Nashville last year. So he says that when he left LA, it allowed him to work without needing to stay there. Moreover, he enjoys the drive to the studio. He called the commute manageable, where he leaves at 8 a.m., arrives at set, films, and returns to his children. Elsewhere, he also said that the cast immediately welcomed him. He called them a great group and said they have a positive and friendly working environment. Moreover, this wasn't the same as other experiences. He says the family dynamics were not as strong. His character on the soap is a lab tech and has been raised by a single parent. He now takes care of his mother, and his character goes to great lengths for her. Elsewhere, he will closely work with Ashley Morgan, played by Jen Jacob. Villasuso praised Jacob for her talent and professionalism, and when they were having their chemistry read, he was excited about the collaboration. He said Jen reads the scripts very attentively, and he enjoys working together. Moreover, the actor is shooting for the first time in Georgia and loves the location. He also has other projects, which include a movie, a commercial, and a funded project. For more Beyond the Gates spoilers and updates, keep following Soap Opera Daily. In the last few months, 2 soap hunks have joined Beyond the Gates. First, there was Greg Vaughn, who debuted late last year as sexy orthopedic surgeon Dr. Kial Rollins, a love interest for newly single Dr. Nicole Dupree. Now, Vaughn's fellow soap, Jordi Villasuso, will make his debut soon on Season 2 of Beyond the Gates, and we've learned a bit more about his character. In an interview with TV Insider, Villasuso revealed he's slipping into the role of lab tech Grayson Perez. Grayson will be teaming up with another character who's also a medical professional, Nurse Ashley Morgan. She's super talented. When I did the chemistry read, I was like, wow, this would be so great. If I get to work with her, I'm going to be happy. And it worked out. She's just such a pro, works very hard. And I'll be honest, that hasn't always been the case with co-stars. And that just makes the dynamic a lot of fun and makes coming to work great. She's reading the scripts and saying, okay, your storyline is getting so good. So she's excited, and that's really what we should be. When you have that and you're all able to all be in that place, you're like, okay, cool. The Friday episode of Beyond the Gate centers on the Dupree family, addressing their rising emotional and health needs. Anita Dupree finally embarks on the treatment she needs, marking a pivotal moment after the many weeks that were filled with tough choices. Even so, the attention shifts to Dani and Nicole, who are finally able to receive the results of the genetic tests. The results have severe implications not only for them, but also for the generations that follow. The answers start pouring in, thereby increasing the tension at Fairmont Crest, as both relief and fear coexist. Jacob and Andre experience firsthand the tension as they begin to think about how the results would impact their wives and their family's future. Simultaneously, issues arise for Vernon that add to the already fraught situation for the family. With health issues, stress, and unanswered questions piling up, the episode is leading up to changes that might upend what happens next on the show. Anita Dupree starts her medical treatment, marking a major turning point in her health journey. After weeks of testing, discussions, and emotional preparation, treatment officially begins. This step brings a mix of resolve and vulnerability as Anita faces the physical reality of what lies ahead. Her family remains closely involved, offering steady support as she enters this new phase. The moment highlights the seriousness of the situation and the importance of the outcome to everyone around her. Anita's treatment is not just a personal milestone. It becomes a shared experience for the Dupree family and a focal point of concern within Fairmont Crest. Dani and Nicole finally receive the results of their genetic testing. The long wait ends, but clarity brings its own tension. These results have the potential to significantly impact how women view their health and make future decisions. The outcome also carries weight for the wider family, especially given Anita's ongoing treatment. Whether the news offers relief or raises new concerns, it represents a decisive moment. The sisters must now process what the results mean in practical and emotional terms. This development pushes the storyline forward with concrete answers rather than speculation. Jacob and Andre are deeply affected as they consider what the test results could mean for their wives and their family's future. Their worry reflects the broader impact of health crises on loved ones who feel powerless to fix the situation. Both men try to balance being supportive partners while managing their own fears. The uncertainty leaves them searching for ways to prepare for possible outcomes. Their perspective highlights how medical news can strain marriages and test emotional resilience. The focus remains on concern rather than solutions, emphasizing how little control they truly have. Vernon Dupree faces bad news that adds to the family's growing emotional burden. The information, delivered by Martin, lands at a time when Vernon is already dealing with Anita's treatment and the fallout from the test results. The development forces Vernon to confront yet another challenge without much warning. His reaction reveals the weight of responsibility he carries within the family. This moment complicates his role as a steady presence and shows that even strong figures can be shaken. The news signals further consequences ahead. As these events unfold, anxiety spreads beyond the immediate family and into the wider Fairmont Crest community. Anita's treatment, the genetic test results, and Vernon's setback all contribute to a shared sense of unease. Conversations shift from anticipation to concern, with everyone waiting to see what comes next. The episode connects multiple storylines through the theme of uncertainty. Each development feeds into the next, creating emotional momentum. By the end of the day, nothing feels settled, and the fallout from these revelations is only beginning. The Dupree family is about to face one of the most emotional weeks yet on Beyond the Gates. Season 2, Episode 6 brings together serious health battles, life-changing test results, and moments of celebration that feel both powerful and painful at the same time. As the story unfolds, viewers will see how love, fear, and resilience collide inside Fairmont Crest. In the upcoming episode, Anita Dupree, played by Tamara Tooney, officially begins medical treatment. Her chemo port is placed, and she starts her first round of chemotherapy. This marks the start of a long and difficult journey, not just for Anita, but for the entire Dupree family. The storyline highlights how serious this moment is, while also serving as a reminder about the importance of early medical testing. The show includes timely public service messages, encouraging viewers to get health issues checked before it is too late. For the Duprees, this is a period filled with worry, hope, and emotional strain. Yet Anita refuses to let her diagnosis define her. In a bold and uplifting move, she transforms the Dupree mansion into a colorful Mardi Gras celebration. With grand costumes and New Orleans spirit, Anita shows that a Dupree woman cannot be easily broken. The party becomes a symbol of strength, family, and the choice to celebrate life even during hardship. While Anita fights her battle, another heavy storyline unfolds. Sisters Dani and Nicole, played by Carla Mosley and Daphne Duplay, receive their long-awaited BRCA gene test results.